This video is sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends.
Is this thing on? Wonderful. Hello, bitches. You assume the games were over, but I promise you, the tests have only just begun. It's time for Saw 2. With 50 achievements for grabs, will Jazzy lose his mind in this grind? I hope so. So let the game begin. Welcome to the achievement grind.
Right folks, you heard Billy, let's get to it. Now before we even load into the game, we already have our first 3 achievements. Now, I do hate achievements like this, however thankfully they are quite easily done. We just need to change the date on our Xbox to Christmas and Halloween, then boot up the game for 2 of the achievements. And I don't see why anybody would ruin a good festive period by playing this game, however when we booted it up on Christmas and unlocked the first, you've wasted your life. A wonderful start. So we do it again with Halloween and unlock It Must Be Saw. The final is also dead simple, however unfortunately my footage did get corrupt. I am sorry about that folks, but nothing can be done. However, the final achievement is just for punching in the Konami code in the main menu. You don't really need the footage of this to be honest, however we unlock the achievement old school for doing that. Right, with those 3 done, let's actually start the game, yeah? The game starts with a light above our head. Campbell wakes up with a trap around his neck and a Billy talking to his soul. He says that we have flushed our life away with addiction and now we need to prove that we want to live for the sake of our son, and we don't want life. However, if life grants us achievements, then we must win. For enjoyers of the Saw 2 film, you already know what this trap is. The key is behind our eye and we need to fish it out to escape this Venus flytrap. Now to do so, it's painfully simple, and within moments the key is out and the trap is offer completed. With that, we have our first true achievement of the run, would you like to play a game? And no, I really wouldn't. With that complete though, it's time to make our way through this strange and familiar location. The next room that we move into has a locked door that can only be opened with a particular pattern. Lucky for us though, John has etched it into our chest so that we may never forget it. Maybe a bit much ruining our chest for a door code like that, but sod it, when in Rome. After we make it through, we narrowly avoid a painful death whilst we're being tested by a saggy floor, then breaking a wall we make our way through further. Now heading throughout the complex, we once again see death, mayhem and the world's ugliest setting in this like abandoned hotel or something. However, we have an achievement already folks, as around the corner of a room we enter, we find the first puzzle piece and by picking it up we unlock Start with the Corners. Now what does every good game sequel need more of? That's right, collectibles. Unlike the first in this game, there are more collectibles than ever before, and we need every single one for several achievements. It's not the worst thing in the world, and some of the collectibles are quite fun to try and figure out how to get, but more on that later. Now remember in the first game there was a minigame for opening doors? Well, we have a new one, and yes, it's much worse. You play as a nail and have to dodge your way to the keyhole, because that's exactly how lockpicking works, but sod it. By cracking the door open in record time, we unlock yet another achievement, Smooth Criminal. Next, we see a rather disturbing sight, folks. We see somebody inside the hotel that is being tested for not playing Raid Shadow Legends.
Good evening, Jazzy. The next game you must play today is Kiss, Marry, and Kill. You must select your choices from over Raid's 750 champions. So let's begin.
Well, if my life's on the line here, folks, I think it's best we play along. So for me, Kiss will go to Ward Maiden, because obviously it will. Look at her. Marry? Well, I would be a fool not to marry Bloodbraid, as she could protect me as I'm fragile and sensitive. And if I have to kill anybody, I suppose it would just have to be Sir Nicholas, because then I'll be the guy that killed Angry Edgy Antler Santa. And who could pass that up? But folks, please use the link in the description or the QR code on screen to join me and over 80 million other players in downloading Raid Shadow Legends. And by using my link, you'll have immediate access to the Knight Errant Champion, as well as many more useful items as well. This game is completely free and you will spend your time defeating tons of challenging bosses, collecting hundreds of champions that you can customize in a billion different ways, and trust me, this game is hilariously addicting. Not only that, but by using my link in the description, it will also give you access to a bunch of free bonus content as well, like the legendary champion Sun Wukong, Raid's take on the Monkey King. To get him, you just have to log in on 7 different days between now and the 23rd. So what's stopping you? I mean, even Billy's playing it. So make sure that you download Raid Shadow Legends now from the link down below, and a massive thank you to Raid for sponsoring this video. Anyway, soon after we arrive in a little outdoors part, and with the press of a lift button we meet a bullish man. He needs to kill us, and we have to not be killed. Now, to be fair, this gent does get a couple of hits in, however gravity is our friend, and for some reason his lack of brain cells means he just carries on running straight over the edge. damage. For beating him and making him fall to his death, we also unlock battering ram. With that, a door opens and we are free to continue. In the next couple of rooms, a few things happen. To start with, we see our first Billy puppet, another collectible type that was honestly quite a lot of fun to go for, as the puzzles to unlock the door to him are quite intense, and I really enjoyed them. We also completed our first electric puzzle and unlocked electrician for doing it in record time. Actually, this is also worth saying now, I think. There are a bunch of achievements in this game specifically for completing the minigame puzzles in a certain amount of time, and you get one achievement for doing under the best time on normal, and another for doing it under the best time on insane difficulty. So we're going to try and get as many of these as we can throughout our first run, because yes, there will be more than one run. Anyway, with our first Billy up for grabs, we soon figure out the puzzle involving time and colours to get our way to him, and you'll be surprised to hear that when we have our lovely son back in our embracing arms, we also unlock the next achievement, paper mache. Collecting adorable Billies aside though, we get back to the puzzles at hand, and you'll be happy to know that exactly 20 seconds later, we have yet another achievement, as we collect our first case file and unlock a little background. In the next room, we also find a touch more info out about Campbell. It turns out that we have cancer, and we don't have long to live. And out of all the times for John to pick us up for a game, as he has cancer himself, I expected better from him. However, we are searching for the truth about our son, and that's apparently how we ended up here. John then tells us that our son is alive and that he actually has also passed his test. Don't know why he was tested, but now we must make a choice of our own. In the next room, John tells us that there is another subject being tested, one that we have never met, however we hold his life in the balance, as across this plank is a glass lift that can only fit one. If we take it, the other person will die, or we can sacrifice ourselves for this stranger. And yeah, sod that, get me in the box. Now the first problem that we have here is that the minigame, if you can call it that, to crossing the plank is so horrendously bad and confusing that it took me 6 attempts to cross the plank. In fact, failing the first time made it so that I had to restart the entirety of the chapter. I was not happy. However, in replaying the chapter, we actually got another achievement that we'd missed, as we solved the first chest riddle at a much faster pace and unlocked Tumblr. So there's a silver lining there, I'm sure. Eventually, we make it across the platform and hop inside of this special life-saving glass box. Inside, John then warns us that the games have just begun. We start the next section in first person, and we find out that we are playing as Michael, Detective Tapp's son from the first game, and we are in our dad's house moments after the unfortunate end that we met at the end of the last game. Here we also meet a couple of people as well, mostly members of the same police force that my dad was working with, and I'm sure we won't be seeing any of them again, as well as the Hall woman. Again, I doubt we'll cross paths with her anytime soon. We decide to nip out for a cheeky smoke. However, before we can even light the damn thing, a giant ass pig shows up and stabs us with a much more potent drug. We then wake up in a box with somebody else to our left. The game here is to simply push our cage to the trigger at the end of the path and the winner will be freed. The only problem though, the floor is littered with glass and the person to our left has shoes and we don't, so the person we paired with takes off and leaves us in the dust. When he wins, he escapes, but unlike the death that was promised, John decides to give us a second chance. How kind of him. Please don't, John. Just end it. Just end the game. When we escape the cage, we find out that we're a reporter, and we're apparently in here for writing stories for our benefit, which I think is just what journalists do nowadays, innit? However, we apparently need to go through the complex to investigate our dad's death and the people that were involved. Sounds good. So we head off to find the truth, after a moment of typical Saw game rage. Now, in one of the next rooms, we have our first test, a test of strength. We have to kill a man that is simply trying to kill us. However, this game, man, the combat in the last game was meh at best. However, in the sequel, they thought the way forward was to turn all of the combat into QTEs, and honestly, this sucks. This absolutely sucks. However, with the new system, we win instantly and carry on because it is horrendously easy. We then meet a random person in need of saving. The room that he's in is about to become a shell of its former self, so we need to complete the puzzle to free him. The puzzle is, again, easy as hell. You just need to line up the numbers lowest to highest. It's dead simple. It takes only seconds, and once this man is free, we unlock our next achievement as well, compassion. Ah yes, compassion, because I'm just a lovely human. Definitely wasn't fueled by achievements. Anyway, now in the meat and potatoes of the hotel, we must go through room upon room, finding our way closer to either an exit or a trap, whichever comes first. Now, other than the occasional baldy bastard goon and gun door, there isn't actually too much here to make us panic. However, in one of these infamous pistol doors, there is a box on the wall with a weapon inside. The minigame is the lockpicking one again, but same as before, for completing it, we also unlocked yet another achievement running like clockwork. We eventually, and without any real issue, make it to the main lobby where we can see John once again. He talks about the person that we have to save in a moment and walks off to go and do some jigsaw things like wear caps backward and take a bathroom floor nap. So we need to go and make our way to this poor unfortunate soul in need of some saving. However folks, you've guessed it, we've got another minigame. Well, it's the same as the one in the last game and I somewhat enjoyed these ones still, so when we completed this challenge with such speed that even Lightning McQueen would get a tad jealous, we unlocked the next achievement, Router? I don't know. Anyway, moving on. The next puzzle we bump into is for matching floor patterns. The TVs give you a code and you just have to walk across the floor of TVs and match that same code. Super simple, but oh my god, this one's quite confusing. Like, how did John set this up? And trust me folks, with the amount of times that this puzzle type shows up, he must have ordered at least 1,000 TVs. He's really showing his passion here, and I respect that. However, at the end of the path on the desk is also an audio tape, another collectible type, and when we pick up our first, we unlock Play Me. We eventually make it into a room where another human is in desperate need of some help, and a code. We need to save this man though, apparently he has information that we need. Now this puzzle may look daunting, however it's simple as hell. We look for a code on the wall and when we find it, we punch them into the mannequins about and the man is saved. However, he has some rather nasty finger injuries, but before we can even get the information out of him that we needed, Mr. Pigman steals him away and says, don't worry about him, he was a nonce anyway. So informationless we continue. However, time to save the human. It is the police chief that we saw from the opening. As you would imagine, he is corrupt, and if we don't get him out of this chair pronto, he's going to be served a 3-course meal of gunpowder and shell casings. For the puzzle, we just have to switch off the lights on the panel next to him. And honestly, I don't mind these puzzles either, they're fine. In fact, we did surprisingly well, so well in fact that within a minute we had saved the bastard's life and unlocked the next achievement, Connect the Dots, for doing this game in such a superiorly quick manner, and we're ready to continue. Unlike the last game as well though, Henry doesn't immediately blame us and call us out. He's nice. Wow, we love development. Although the scene ends with us stepping into a lift for our next exciting adventure, and we do get an evil look from Henry, so he's up to something. However, for saving him, we unlock the next achievement with a government name, Henry Jacobs. So we step off the lift and immediately are greeted with a new and trendy hip and with it fashion accessory, a shotgun vest. It's like the shotgun collar you see, but it's a vest now. Innovation! Once we put it on, we step out of the room and see our next victim, the hallway wench. She's locked in a box, so we need to drain the water around her and then turn off the electricity to get to her. John then introduces us to the boxes that can also trigger the vests if we get too close or stay in the location for too long, as well as nicking the pool drain that we need, so we need to go and get that back. Now, honestly, folks, the puzzles in the past that we have to take to get there are the exact same as what we've just done. We're still in the hotel, so it's all the same. However, later on we came across another puzzle piece. With this being 1/4 of all in the game finally got, we unlocked Puzzle of Flesh. But that's not the only one, as moments later we also find 1/4 of all the case files, also unlocking some light reading. Now, a little while later we make it to the water pump and start the incredible process of slowly pushing it back to the pool. However, before we can take it all of the way, we have another fight on our hands with a familiar face. He, like the man that came before, is also obsessed with killing us in a spectacular fashion. However, we don't let him and instead use our wits and cunning to get him once again to fall to his death, with the help of some gravity. And also unlocking, now that's using your head. With him dead and no further obstacles, we get the pump back to where it belongs, and now it's time to turn off the electricity. On the path, we quickly bump into some trouble though, as Henry and the other cop Joseph from earlier are talking, saying that they need to take us out, as if we make it out of this game and expose them, it's bad news bears for all. So we have now even more enemies against us. More puzzle floor and traps later, we're making wonderful progress through, until we drop down into a room where we just so happen to bump into Henry, who then immediately goes to shoot us, the bastard, right after we save his life as well. So I guess what I said earlier about him being nice wasn't right. Anyway, now there are a couple of sections like this in the game where you have to dodge their shots and push on through. Honestly, it is hilariously easy, as they do not stop shooting, so no matter where you are, Henry will carry on and shoot until he needs to reload. So it's just as simple as waiting for 5 seconds and moving when it's safe. It's honestly brain dead easy, this bit. Eventually, however, the coward runs off and we can now shut down the power. Finally, it's time to save the woman in the cage. This is Sarah. She is a drug addict and a sex worker that, according to John, is reason enough to be tested. We have to drain the box as it fills up by aligning the pipes. Once again, folks, I hate to tell you that honestly this was fairly easy. It does appear close and tense with the box filling up and Sarah having a lovely swim. However, it is simple as hell, and with the final pipes locked in place, the door opens and she is safe. Now it turns out that Sarah was actually our dad's informant. She then blames us for his death, so yeah, thanks for that, Sarah, before she then slithers off and we get our next achievement, Sarah Blalock. Now the next person that we must save is the other cop Joseph that Henry was just talking to. Apparently he got caught and disappeared at some point, and now we have to save him. But why do we have to save him? We literally just saw him plot to murder me. But alright, sod it, why not? We just need to get this lift working again to make it down to him. Simple as. Once again folks, there is really nothing I can say here. Even though we are no longer in the hotel, it's still the exact same method of working throughout this establishment, involving using a crane to move metal boxes to reveal a path. Something that we'll be doing a lot here and gets boring real quick. Eventually moving on forward, we make it to a room in which another person is trapped and in need of saving. Now since this person didn't talk about killing us, we decide to actually help. Unfortunately though, in the process of getting the tool in order to save him, we bump into Henry again and we get another gun shooting and hidey section. Like before though, it's easy as hell and we smash our way through it. With a smelly box dropped on him, he once again runs away. Here we also find a quarter of all of the audio tapes in the game and unlock the next achievement, mixtape. With this handle we can now save the man from his cage by burning a chain with acid. No idea, but he's free and then gives us a key as a reward before going to pray to the Lord. Or something. And he chose to do that instead of escaping this hellhole? Alright, fine. And it also turns out that the person we've just freed actually throws acid in people's faces, so yay, he's free, wonderful. Next folks, we have another achievement, as later on we find half of the puzzle pieces in the game and unlock the next achievement starting to come together, before we make it through a room filled with poison gas. You know, typical Saw shit. Oh, and we also find half of the case files in the game and unlock half the story, which is fine I guess. We eventually make it to the tool that we need to get the lift working again, however it's in a box full of TNT. Like a good Bugs Bunny show, we must pull out all of the obstacles on its path, as if it's caught it'll explode and we will both lose the tool and our life. This honestly took a couple of attempts, as there was a hidden obstruction that I didn't even see on my first couple of tries. However, we eventually get the better of it and find the tool before heading on down the lift to do our best Frey impression and learn how to save a life. Joseph is in a rather unfortunate vice machine. If we don't fix and match the panels around him, he will be squeezed like a fresh and ripe orange. His punishment for polluting the city with his corruption. Now, the colour traps are somewhat challenging, however they are also somewhat fun. So I didn't mind saving the life of this man that I already know wants to kill me. Amazing writing. So we crack on and indeed succeed in saving his life, and the man is free. He says he's also surprised that we saved him, however he just warns us to stay out of his way. Okay, fine, I guess I'm okay with that. But as well, as you would expect, we also unlock the achievement Joseph Polzer. In the next room, we immediately spot the next person in need of saving, and I cannot stress how bizarre this next part is, so I'm just gonna let it play for itself.
Why did you suddenly become fucking a marionette?
Excuse me, I need to jive to you real quick. As you can tell, a lot of love went into this game. Honestly, I've watched that back 30 times and I still have no idea what that was. However, it's time to save this woman's life too, hopefully in a much faster manner than we've just demonstrated. However, we get to work and immediately unlock our next achievement, as well as we then find half of all of the audio tapes in the game and unlock easy listening. Now, you won't be surprised to hear that this section plays more or less identically to everything we've just done. Honestly, this game, besides the new occasional puzzle to unlock a door, has zero innovation. Like, if you've played the first 30 minutes, you've played the entire game. However, we continued as normal. Now, in a room whilst we're busy saving the day, we hear a maniacal scream and then an eruption of pain. We look up, see somebody taking their tan a touch too seriously, and with that we unlock firefighter for them burning to death. Absolutely no idea, but hey, free achievement, sod it, why not? Apparently he had a test, but I reckon he failed. Moving through, we eventually bump into Sarah once again, and we must put our differences aside to conquer the next trap. It is basically steam traps. We need to clear the path for each other to make it through this entire section. Again, it's easy as hell, and afterwards even Sarah has a change of heart. She now thinks that I'm a good person just like my dad, then immediately slaps us. What the feck is going on with this game? After that, she is then also immediately kidnapped and lifeless. Honest to God. We go through another deadly gas room and even make a bomb with Amanda's trap from the first game to blast the door open to proceed. Honestly, John's planning ability has truly gone above and beyond for this game. It's quite impressive how well thought out this pathing is. For now, folks, though, it's time to change the pace of the game up a little bit. It's time to throw something new at the players so they don't think it's boring and stale, and I'm thankful for it. So with the boss fight, let's see what we're going to face. Oh, for God's sake, him again. This time instead of gravity though, we're going to use electricity as we shall once again steer him into certain death. Now this one does take a little longer, however this is not a good thing. What is a good thing though is when we crisp him up perfectly, we then unlock third time's the charm. For God's sake. At least that's the end of the bullish man though. Now remember the person we helped earlier in the hand trap that turned out to be a nonce? Well, Zeke has returned, this time sporting some rather trendy arm swords. Now he wants to kill us as he blames us for the loss of his hands. Like, how? How do we get blamed for this? However, a spectacular chase ensues that we easily overcome before Zeke susses his way inside of a vent. Honestly, at this point, I'm just at a loss with this game. Like, how did people overlook this and be like, yeah, that's how I want my game? It's genuinely baffling. But curious to see where it goes, we carry on and then appear in front of our next victim again. This is Carla, and she is a nurse who has been stealing meds to sell on the streets. Therefore, she deserves death. What we have to do is figure out this number puzzle again, as if we don't, the lift that she's attached to will fall and will rip her in twine. Honestly, so far, the only good thing that I can say about this game is that the traps are pretty cool in concept. I did like them, so that's at least one positive, right? Now, similar to the earlier puzzle, it's easy as hell, and we save her life almost instantly. When she's free, Carla is taken away, and we also unlock Carla's song. When we exit ourselves, we see Carla again and go to chase after her. Now, she must have done some serious sprinting as we soon find ourselves down in the sewer system without her to be seen at all. We then meet another new puzzle for the first time. Well, when I say puzzle, it's a slightly updated version of my favourite puzzle from the last game. However, they have absolutely ruined it with the fact that you cannot have the same colours touching now. This first puzzle alone nearly took me 20 minutes to solve, to open a single door. I hate it. Anyway, we keep on pushing until we find John again. He appears at us through a window and says that he is here to remind us of our past. He then plays a tape of us making a story about our dad storming Jigsaw's warehouse without getting the warrant, which then of course resulted in Singh's death. Now apparently we're a bit of a bastard for running with this story, as we printed it for a desk as a journalist. Odd, but I don't get what's actually wrong here. Why do I deserve to be punished for running a true story? Genius. And with that, Zeke then makes his return. He's scary and incredibly strong apparently, but even he gets outwitted by a loose brick. That donk on the head gave us the advantage that we needed, and once again we outrun him and his chase is cut short by a small box. I kid you not. With a press of a button and Zeke's need for murder, he accidentally gets himself squashed after clearly teleporting back, and we unlock the next achievement, hands off. Moments later, we overhear another conversation between Henry and Joseph. We just saved both of their lives, however, they still want us dead, and we don't even know why still. So we just move on and eventually run into Carla again, with the entire complex open for exploration, and we just keep bumping into people. She then apologizes to us for not trusting us, however, before she can grovel any further, she gets quad stabbed by Henry, who is looking rather worse for wear. Apparently she was a loose end, but sure, why not, of course she was. He says that we're not so different, you and I, and then takes his leave again. It's amazing that this game expects us to care about Carla dying, but I simply did not. With that, we then arrive at the next person in need of saving, the man who cooked the books for the corrupt police officers. Burning him alive seems a little bit harsh just for that, however, we have to complete the puzzles to make sure that that doesn't happen, and he doesn't meet his fiery end. Honestly, again, this was a really easy trap, and about 2 minutes and 36 seconds later, he is a free man again thanks to our incredible efforts. He then finally explains that the police officers were taking drugs from evidence lockup and reselling them on the streets for a profit. This man is the one who cooked the books, the doctor helped them get the high grade stuff, and Sarah was one of the people selling it as well. The entire thing is about a drug conspiracy, and apparently we made an article that wrapped the whole thing together rather nicely. No idea, I cannot stress how uninterested in the story I am. However, we are getting closer to the end of it now, folks. With his life saved, of course, as well, we also unlock the next achievement, Solomon Bates. Once down in the sewer again, Solomon turns to hate, as apparently we're now the prick, even though we're the smallest cog in this garbage machine. Thankfully though, Solomon gets pushed into a bunch of hay and the pig seals the door, and I imagine Solomon's fate. No idea why he was just killed, but alright, whatever. Now, in the abandoned train station, somehow we once again bump into Sarah. She says that our lives are seriously in danger and that we also know the man in the pig mask. But before she can say who, she gets shot in the back rather suddenly. Oh, and it is also never said who is in that pig mask, but I imagine they were just teasing that it was Hoffman. I guess. Honestly, they don't say. However, with Joseph and his gun, cue another over-the-top shooting sequence where we just easily wait and run. We eventually lose him, as even with a gun, he is terrified of us, so we continue to plod our way through the complex, until eventually an old friend makes their return. Yes, it's the bullish man for the 4th time, except now he's evolved and grown some additional rebar spikes. Let me show you how we take this man down.
Fucking hell. I want that so badly now.
Good. Yep, we beat him in 5 seconds and unlock the next achievement, Hedgehog Dilemma. We then loot a key from his squashed corpse and move on further, hopefully towards the end of the game. Please, God, let me be close to the end of this shit. Now, we must be getting close as events are starting to be spammed rather close together now. This next section has a rather fun premise in all honesty though. We just have to avoid the red lights, as if we stand in them, they will immediately detonate the vest. The only problem is that you can barely see the lights, and every time I died here, which was a lot, I couldn't even tell that I stood in them. It took me nearly an hour to get past this section, and honestly, it broke me. This part absolutely sucked. But like the determined little bean that we are, we pushed through eventually. In the next room, we then see that the pig is confronting Henry, and then the pig kills Henry. That's it. The villain of this entire game goes out in a tiny cutscene that you can walk past, and we were even the one to kill him. Amazing. Anyway, it's time for some wrapping up, methinks, as with one final puzzle piece down, we unlock our final Billy puppet, and when we grabbed it, we unlocked Puppeteer. And in the very next room, we also get our final audio tape for Reel to Reel. This is also the same room where we would have found the last case file, but we missed one at the start of the game apparently. Whoops. We then see Joseph once again for another patent pending shooting section. But during this, we quickly sneak off for a quick piss in the toilets and also get our last puzzle piece and unlock putting it all together. Right, it's time to end this. I am fed up of Joseph getting away. So this time we storm him and tackle him straight out of a window. With a huge crash, Joseph is down. Or is he? No, it's time for a race to the gun. We both grab it, however we use all of our intense strength to put the gun under his head. We let him sit on his failure for just a moment before shooting him straight through his chrome dome. Behind him though is John, who then runs away. Also unlocking us the next achievement, did I fire 6 shots or 5? We sprint to catch up with John, but he disappears. However, we soon find ourselves in a rather familiar place. John comes on to say that you helped dirty cops fuel their drug cartel. Apparently we didn't do it for the money, we did it as revenge on our dad who abandoned us. And with this, I think they're actually trying to retcon some things that have happened in the last game, as we are now apparently the reason for Tap's death. No idea. Absolutely no idea. Oh folks though, it's time. The choice we made in the first 10 minutes come to fruition, as Michael is the person that we killed by taking the glass chamber as Campbell. Since Campbell took the box, Michael is immediately crushed to death, and we unlock the Path of Blood. We then leave the box again as Campbell, and we see John, who says that our son is unharmed. We've done well by him, so John says go and be with him. Campbell then instead decides that he can't live in a world with John in it and goes to rush him. John, knowing how this stuff works by now though, just simply stands to the side and lets Campbell get a cock full of blade. After all of that, in 2 minutes, Michael and Campbell both die, and that's the game. Holy Christ, this is the worst game I've ever played. That ending was the perfect last sprinkle on this humongous shit sandwich. However folks, unfortunately we are not done. It's time for the cleanup. Oh God help me. Honestly folks, let's just breeze through these. I don't want to play this game anymore. Thankfully with the chapter select though, cleanup was much easier. So we went back and started to do some of the mini games on insane difficulty for their achievements now. The first we did was the lockpick puzzle, and on completing it we unlocked Second Amendment. After that was the electricity puzzle as well. Completing that in record time also unlocked us P2P. We then absolutely sped our way through the lightbox puzzle as well and unlocked Burnt Out. After that we took the time to pick a regular door as well. Once completed we unlocked Master Thief. Also doing it on another electrical panel as well, unlocking Jury Rig. Also thankfully by this time we had made it to the case file that we'd missed in the first playthrough, and fortunately it still counted towards the total 50. But we didn't. As soon as I picked it up we unlocked the final collectible achievement, Journalist. Now to change up the pace a little, it's time to go through the entire last chapter again through the flashback system, which thankfully means we can get the other ending without having to play the entire game again. So away we go. This time when the box comes up we hop inside it, and let's actually get the good ending this time, shall we? We firstly unlock Path of Flesh, and when we step out Billy is there to greet us. Billy gives us a choice: to escape and be the free man that we want to be, also taking with us all of the evidence that we've collected so we can finally shine a light on this drug cartel matter, or we can join forces with John and become his new apprentice and help those who are corrupt in need of saving. When a door opens, the pig appears, and the choice apparently is ours. hours, and then the game ends. Oh, anger. I have so much anger inside of me right now. What kind of ending is that? In fact, we were in so much shock at the absolute state of this game, we watched the full credits accidentally and unlocked another achievement brought to you by. Goddamn, only a couple left now, folks, so let's just get on with it. Next, we did the colour wheel puzzles on both insane and normal difficulty, unlocking both thinking 3 steps ahead and chromatic. And trust me, the 10-second timer on this minigame achievement can suck the saggiest part of my elbow. This puzzle took me over an hour alone. We then did the intro puzzle again on insane, unlocking forced perspective, before the final task of the jigsaw box. Now, in one of the rooms in the hotel is the same cog box from the first games, and we need to complete it with speed, so we do. Firstly, we unlock gear grinder for normal difficulty, and when we did it a final time on insane, thankfully and finally we unlocked mechanic. Folks, I cannot genuinely stress how happy I am that I never have to play this game ever again. I never thought I'd have an experience this terrible. I have a couple of things to say about this horrendous sequel though, so with that, let's end this as for now, the grind is over. Now, Saw 2 Flesh and Blood. I'm going to say it, this is the worst game that I have ever played in my life. It has absolutely nothing good going for it. The story is awful, the endings are even worse, the minigames are hilariously repetitive, annoying, and very dull. The setting is the exact same shade of shite throughout, and it feels the exact same as the game before it. The animations are dodgy, the voice acting is a joke. Genuinely, there are only 2 small nice things I can say about this game. Some of the trap concepts were quite cool, and it is somewhat funny laughing at how bad this game is. That's it. Other than that, without question, this is the worst game that I have ever played in my life, and I cannot stress to you folks enough to stay away from this title. It will take years off your lifespan. However, thinking about it, maybe Saw 2 is actually the best game ever made, and ahead of its time, as whilst playing this, it felt like torture. So that's an interactive experience on another level. Bravo, Saw 2, bravo. Anyway, Zombie Studios, you should be ashamed of yourselves for this game. So, enough of this, let's just get to the stats. With Saw 2, it unfortunately took us 14 hours to grind all 50 achievements. For this game, it's going to break a record here, folks, as without question, this game is getting a 1 out of 10. I never want to touch this game again. Never ever, and none of you should either. It's really not worth it. For the difficulty of the achievements though, I'm going to be giving it a 3. There are a lot of collectibles to go through, as well as somewhat multiple playthroughs and some tough puzzle challenges achievements as well. It is slightly harder than the game that came before, but that's not a good thing. For the hardest achievement as well, I'm going to be giving this to chromatic, because having to complete this puzzle in under 10 seconds is a joke and took me, as I said, well over an hour. With that though, folks, we are done. Thank you all so much for watching, I really do appreciate it, and if you haven't yet, please consider subscribing for more achievement grinds in the future. Also need to give a massive thanks again to Raid Shadow Legends, and once again folks, please don't forget to go and click the link down below to download it today. It would be muchly appreciated, and you get some bonus content for it as well. And of course as well, I can't end without saying a massive thank you to all of my Patreon subscribers as well. You folks are all the best, and you know it, so thank you so much. Also, don't forget to come follow me on Twitch as well, where we go for the achievement grinds live. It would be, as always, lovely to have you. With that though folks, that is it from me today. Thank you all so much for watching, I really hope you enjoyed it. Even if the game wasn't good, I still had a lot of fun putting this one together. So have yourselves a wonderful week, I will see you all next Sunday, and yeah, take care, bye bye for now.